Wheel of Time community, and welcome to the Wheel of Time Pod-Thru. I'm Teresa.
And I'm Tim.
And together, we're going to walk through Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time book series. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. It's the last episode of this season, and, I'm a little sad about that, but mostly just really excited.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I just want to point out that our podcast has been going for almost a whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like our first episode was published on August 2nd. So our 1 year anniversary is just a couple days from now.
Yeah, it is.
We're not going to be able to keep up this 2 books a year pace because the books are just going to be getting longer and longer and longer and longer. But it's been a great year.
It really has. It's been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. So before we get started, we just want to remind you that this is a reread. We assume that you've read the entire series, so there will be spoilers. You have been warned. All right, Tim, what are we going to be doing in today's episode?
Today, we're going to be discussing chapters 48, 49, and 50, where we wrap up the Great Hunt and then talk about how season 2 went. The last 3 chapters are really short, so we're going to do them all at once. Chapter 48 is called First Claiming, and the icon is the Dragon Fang. Chapter 49 is called What Is Meant to Be, and Chapter 50 is called After. Both of these chapters have the Wheel of Time as the chapter icon.
Here's a quick summary of all 3 of the last chapters to act as a reminder for those of you who are not reading along with us. The streets of Falme are in pandemonium, the people unsure of where to run. Min makes her way through the streets trying to find the others, drawn onward by an invisible string. Turning back to the harbor, she can see several Shanshan ships burning. She can make out the spray getting smaller in the distance, but she can't blame Beldomen for leaving after what they had all seen. She sees a figure on horseback skirting across the water, aiming a silver bow at the one Shanshan ship not burning. A streak of silver lanced the ship and lit it on fire. The figure on horseback disappeared, and Min turned back and kept on down the street, pulled toward one particular house. She finds Rand unconscious and clinging to what was left of his sword. The end appeared to have been melted. She tried to get rid of it and saw that the hilt had branded a heron into his palm. She sees a large wound burned into his side and feels how cold he is. She manages to drag him into a bed and covers him in blankets, but he doesn't have enough body heat to warm himself up, so she gets under the covers with him. She knows he needs Aes Sedai healing, but she's afraid that if she leaves him, he'll be dead by the time she got back. All she can do is hold him and try to give him her warmth, and that is how Egwene finds them. Min explains how she found him, and Egwene says that she felt him pulling her, and so did Elaine. She tells Min that because of what Rand is, he isn't safe for any of them to marry, and Min tells her to speak for herself. She reiterated what Elaine said, that if Egwene was going to toss him aside, then she can't blame someone else for picking him up. Egwene stares her down without saying anything and then tells her that she'll go get Nynaeve and stalks out. Min laments the pattern and how little choice they all have in their lives and is interrupted by Lanfear. She tells Min that Luce Theron is hers. She charges Min to tend to him well until she comes for him and then disappears. Child Buyer gallops away from Falme. The Legion is dead, and so is Joffrey Bornhold. The only explanation for that was that they had been betrayed by dark friends, like that Perrin at the Two Rivers. He had to tell Dane Bornhold how his father had died, but first he had to tell Pedra Nell what he had seen in the sky above Falme. 5 days after leaving Falme, Rand finally wakes up with Min sitting at his side, watching over him. His memory comes in snatches, but he asks if they freed Egwene. Min tells them that she, Nynaeve, and Elaine freed her, which totally confuses him. She explains that the girls left with Varen, Mat, and Hurin to Tar Valon with the horn and the dagger. Rand whines that Egwene didn't even wait until he woke up. He starts to check on his wound, but Min slaps his hand away from the bandages, telling him that it wasn't healed yet. Varen tried, but it wasn't healing properly. There's something wrong with it, so they'll have to wait for it to heal naturally. Moraine comes to see him, and he basically tells her that she can screw right off. He's pretty rude. She asked if Fane found him, and he says no. She says that's probably for the best because she's pretty sure he bonded with Mordeth and Shadowlogoth and became some super evil big bad combo of the two of them. Fane 2.0 is not to be trifled with. She pulls out Rand's Heron-marked sword, and he tells her that this time he did it. He killed him. Moraine tells him that the Dark One is not so easily killed, and tells Rand about his battle in the sky over Falme. Min corroborates the story and tells him that they all saw it too. Moraine pulls out a chalk drawing depicting the battle and tells Rand that there are thousands like it from villages all over Toman Head. The story is out and spreading like wildfire about how the dragon battled the Dark One in the sky above Falme. They argue about whether or not Rand will admit that he's the dragon and whether or not Rand needs her. He doesn't want to break the world, but Moraine tells him that the world is already starting to break and he can't stop it. She throws the pieces of the 2 broken seals she found in Turok's belongings at him. That's 3 of the 7. It's a lot to take in, and Rand needs to walk after so long a bed. Both women help him down to where the campfires are. He finds Loyal, Lan, and Perrin with the Shenarians. The dragon banner is flying in the middle of the camp, and Moraine tells Rand that it's too late to hide. The Shenarians all bow to Rand and pledge their oath to him. He tries to back out of it and say that they're pledged to Ingtar and Egilmar, but Uno tells him that when the dragon is reborn, he will break all oaths, shatter all ties, and they want to give their oath to Rand. Moraine tells him that the world is going to break regardless, but it's his choice if he wants to leave the world defenseless. No pressure. So he makes his choice. The story spread across the land. Some men declared for the dragon, and others struck them down for it. Other stories spread, growing more and more outlandish the further out they got. But everyone heard of the man whose face was seen in the sky above Falme, who rode under the banner of the dragon reborn. And men cried out to the Creator, saying, O light of heaven, light of the world, let the promised one be born of the mountain, according to the prophecies, as he was in ages past and will be in ages to come. Let the prince of the morning sing to the land, that green things will grow, and valleys give forth lambs. Let the arm of the Lord of the dawn shelter us from the dark, and the great sword of justice defend us. Let the dragon ride again on the winds of time.
Min is pulled to Rand because he needs her, or more to the point, the pattern needs her to find him. Later, we'll see Perrin and Mat feel like Rand is pulling them to him through threads in the pattern. But for some reason, it does feel a little more mystical here, and not necessarily the same as the boys, but I can't quite put my finger on why.
Yeah, I kind of see what you mean. I guess because the boys are also Tavaran, it makes more sense. Like, I see the pulling and, like, the colors and stuff as Tavaran twisting.
Right.
Whereas this is something different and also something that's not really repeated with the girls. So I think that's why it feels more mystical.
Yeah, you're right, because it does make a lot more sense with the other Tavaran, because in the pattern, the threads of the pattern are pulling on each other.
Yeah, and it doesn't really kick in full force until a little bit later when they've all grown stronger, more strongly.
Yeah.
Tavaran, and Rand has definitely become more dragony.
Yeah.
I'm just making up words,
terms.
whatever.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, the technical term, dragony. Anyway, back to this book. So I love how Min sees Birgitte and just keeps right on going. You know, like the book says, quote, she gave herself a shake and started to climb the street again. She'd seen too much that day for someone riding a horse across water to be more than a momentary distraction, even if it really was Birgitte and her bow. It has been a day for the people of Falme, right?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Like,
yeah, it has been a day.
So, Rand's sword is ruined in the fight with Ishiman.
Yeah.
And it's reduced to a stub of its former self. I think it's really important that Rand had this symbol that was such a link to Tam literally made smaller, but not completely destroyed. Mm-hmm. Like, Rand will always be Tam's son. Nothing will change that. But as he gives into his destiny, he's going to find that who he was raised is just one component of what makes him who he is, not the whole picture.
Yeah.
And the heron burned into his hand from the sword is something that he will carry with him to remind him forever, because Tam's influence on him will be with him forever. But it's time for Rand to move on and discover other parts of who he is, because that's not all that he is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's really beautiful symbolism.
Yeah.
So Min trying to wrestle with an unconscious Rand into the house and up to bed is pretty funny.
Yeah, it is.
She's always calling him names like Great Lummox and complaining how much she doesn't like him and how he's not her type. But it's in a very fond sort of way,
Yeah.
you know? Like, I love their relationship, but part of the reason for that is because she teases him and gives him a hard time. She doesn't fawn over him the way Elaine does. But she's also not completely antagonistic towards him like Avienda is.
Yeah.
You know? Like, she gives him hell, but in a loving way. And that was there even before she actually fell in love with him. You know?
That's one of the things I like about her.
Yeah, like, I think Min was definitely the best of the bunch, for sure.
Absolutely. I feel so sorry for Min in this chapter.
Yeah.
Not just because she's on her own with no one to help her tend to Rand, but because of the inevitable path that she is on.
Mm-hmm.
She has no say, no control, and no way around the fact that she will end up with Rand. She just saw that he's the Dragon Reborn, which is a huge issue.
Yeah.
He is not her type, but she's destined to love him anyway, as well as share him with 2 other women. It's an impossible situation, and I just feel really bad for her.
Definitely.
And I wonder why the pattern pulls Egwene to Rand like it did for Min and Elaine. Min and Elaine make sense in a way because they're tied to him. Mm-hmm. Egwene is not tied to him in the same way. Egwene does need to be there in the last battle, and she does have an important role to play in other things that happen, but why does the pattern pull her to Rand in this moment? Unless Jordan specifically wanted to have Egwene confront a person she knows has an obvious attraction to Rand.
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Egwene and Elaine felt it, but Nynaeve didn't. Mm-hmm. And when Rand was obsessing about Egwene in the last chapter, she was one of the threads he felt pulling him to Falme.
Right.
So I have 2 theories. The first is that since this is only book 2, Jordan hadn't created Avienda yet, and he thought that Egwene might be the 3rd woman in Rand's life. Obviously, he changed his mind later, but everything points to Egwene in The Great Hunt. You know?
Okay.
That's probably the most likely. But, you know, let's recon it so it all makes sense in the grand scheme of the series theory is that maybe this was the last vestiges of the life he would have had with Egwene if she hadn't become Aes Sedai and he didn't declare as a Dragon Reborn. Like, this is where she has to confront the reality that if she walks away from him, she no longer has claim on him and he's free to marry someone else. They have been very connected throughout the whole book, even though they've said that they aren't for each other. They both still prioritize each other and have claim on each other. This is kind of the end of that. I mean, it doesn't become official until Tyr, but still.
You know, I kind of like that second theory because at this moment, he hasn't declared himself a dragon. So maybe it is still a possibility.
I don't know. I really do feel like that's a retconny interpretation. I think Jordan just hadn't figured out how he wanted it to go yet. Because it doesn't make any sense that Egwene feels it. It just doesn't.
And Min flat out Min's already had the feeling that it's not her. So
Right. But Egwene doesn't know that.
True.
And neither does Rand. I don't know. I feel like if Jordan had a chance to redo it later, he would have, but obviously that's not how books work.
Right.
So
Well,
I think it's book 2.
Okay.
That's why, because it's
Okay.
only book 2 and they hadn't figured it out yet.
Am I just being thick-headed here?
Often.
That's true. Okay, so
Sorry.
fair enough.
Go ahead.
Min crawls under the sheets with Rand because he's too cold and needs warmth.
Right.
I've heard a number of other podcasts say that she takes her clothes off when she does this. And I'm not reading that here. I get that this is a trope that's played out a lot in other stories, but she doesn't crawl. She crawls under the sheets fully clothed, right? Mm-hmm. Because you don't need to get naked to warm up another person in this situation. Just because you're under the same bed sheets, it will do the trick. Because the human body averages 98 degrees, which is pretty warm.
Yeah, they're both fully clothed. I don't know what podcast you're listening to,
No
but they
names.
seem to be trying to make this a lot more porny than it actually is. Like, this isn't sexy. Min is trying to keep him alive.
Yeah, then that's kind of the way I always read it. I was just wanted to check in with you on that.
Yeah, no, it's not sexy. It's a little awkward when Egwene finds them, because even in this situation, like they're still very close to each other.
Yes.
And if that's someone that you don't know very well, it's an awkward thing to be that close to someone. But this isn't naked time.
Yeah,
Like,
this
no,
isn't even
not at
snuggle
all.
time. This is just, you need to warm up. Yeah. Okay.
So Egwene's jealousy and possessiveness is really not a good look.
No.
We've already talked about this in previous episodes, so I won't belabor the point. But she feels like she has a legitimate claim on Rand, even though she doesn't want to be with him anymore. She chose the tower and is besotted with Galad, but she still can't bear anyone else going after Rand. And I love that Min stands her ground and defiantly tells Egwene that she can't have it both ways. And
Yep.
Egwene's kind of a bitch the way that she leaves it, you know? Like, I get
Yeah.
that she expected to end up with Rand, and she feels like she has a right to her claim on him. But she is wrong, you know? Like, they talked about it and released each other.
Yes, they did.
They're both free agents. Even without the pattern mucking about with their destiny, Min hasn't done anything wrong here,
I absolutely agree.
you know?
Like, I mean, I get that it's hard to walk away sometimes, even though you've already kind of had that discussion. It's hard to let go.
Yeah, and we talked in a previous episode about how they sort of let each other go in stages. It doesn't happen all at once. Like, it starts when they have that conversation in Faldara, but it doesn't really sink in all the way, like, officially until they are in Tyr.
And this is just another example of, like, I guess just being young and not handling the situation well, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Egwene is very young, and she's never had a relationship with a boy who wasn't Rand.
Right.
Like, she had her little flirtations with Aram in the
Yeah, but they were just flirtations.
Tuatha camp, and she's definitely flirty with Galad because she's super, super into him. But they haven't done anything because of all the rules of the tower. They haven't. I think they may have taken a turn about the garden or something, but I think that's the extent of it. Like, I don't think they've really spent that much time together. So she hasn't had a relationship where she could feel like she has claim on someone other than Rand. So even though she's moving on, she still feels jealous anytime any woman talks about Rand or asks about him. She feels jealous and gets a little petty. And yeah, she does not look good in this scene. Like,
No.
Not at all. And I mean, we already know that I'm not a big fan of Egwene, so I don't need to keep going on about it. But this is one of the reasons why. It's this part of her personality, how she is very self-centered and like, she puts herself first.
Right.
You know?
Always.
And
Well,
yeah.
she doesn't always put herself first. She puts her goals first. So, yeah.
Yeah, she can be really petty and unreasonable, and it's just not a good look. I think it's really interesting that Lanfear outs herself to Min.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, she isn't pretending to be Selene or any of the other aliases she uses. Like, obviously, she doesn't see Min as any sort of a threat, and she isn't trying to trick Min to get anything out of her. But I still think it's interesting that she outs herself so early in the series. It was probably to clue the readers in on who Selene was this whole time. Like, I can't remember the first time I read this if I had already figured it out at this point. But for those of us who didn't, this is the twist. Selene equals Lanfear. Woo.
Yeah. You know, having read it so many times, it's really
just don't
hard to remember
Yeah.
the first time whether it did or not. So yeah, maybe it had to be revealed. It just seems so obvious now.
Yeah, it seems really obvious now, but I honestly don't remember. It's possible that I hadn't figured it out. I mean, I knew she was shady. That was
Right.
blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I knew that she was Lanfear until this moment.
And we end this chapter with the child buyer running off half-cocked to tell Pedro and Nail that dark friends like Perrin and the Tarvalon witches were responsible for Bornhold's death, and that the Dragon Reborn fought Beelzemon in the sky over Falme. He is so sure he knows what happened, but he's so blinded by his own hate. Buyer is such a horrible person.
Yeah. Gotta watch out for that Perrin of the Two Rivers, though.
Yeah.
That guy. Ugh.
That guy.
So Rand does not wake up for 5 days. That is a huge amount of time to be unconscious.
Yeah.
Like, I know that Aes Sedai can delve him to check on how he's doing, but still, Min must be going out of her mind. And my heart breaks for her when all Rand can talk about is Egwene. It's so sad.
What a dumbass.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he doesn't know. But, like, oh, poor girl.
There's a lot of information here about who has split off and gone to the tower and who stayed with Rand, as well as Min catching Rand up on how things went down while he's fighting Ishii. But the big takeaway is that Rand's wound from that fight is not healing the way that it should. At the time, I did not expect this wound to play such a big role, like in the rest of the series.
Yeah.
But it is a constant thing from here on out. Mm-hmm. When Moiraine comes in, I like the description of Min where it says, Min was frowning at the Aes Sedai. Rand had the odd feeling that she meant to protect him from Moiraine. I feel this is the role Min steps into from here on out. She acts as an advocate and a sounding board for Rand, and she's one of the few people who stands up to an Aes Sedai on his behalf.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why I think that Min and Rand should have ended up together.
Right.
The only other person who was consistently on Rand's side, even if he didn't realize it, was Nynaeve. And I feel that it all starts right here for Min as a conscious choice.
Yeah, like already she's really protective of him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. I can't believe how rude Rand is in this scene.
Yeah.
Like, I get that he's in pain and that he doesn't like Moiraine or any Aes Sedai for that matter. He feels manipulated and used, and okay, fine. But he's just a straight up asshat to Moiraine.
He sure is.
And it's uncalled for. Like, this is the beginning of Rand and Moiraine constantly fighting with each other, trading barbs back and forth. Mm-hmm. And it's a real shame because as much as Rand refuses to admit it, he does need Moiraine. You know, like he knows nothing of the world and of anything that he's going to be facing, you know? Like she needs to definitely stop trying to manipulate him.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
She needs to actually talk to him, but he needs to dial it down a notch. Like this rude jerk is not the man that Tam raised him to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of surprised like Lan doesn't like backhand him over the head.
Well, Lan's not there, remember?
True,
He's down
right.
with Perrin and Loyal and the Shenarians.
True, that's
So,
right.
So I'm sure if he was there, he'd be like, watch it, sheep herder. But he wasn't there.
Moiraine drops the bombshell that Varen lied earlier in the book when she said that Moiraine had sent Varen to join Ingtarna's forces to find the horn. Mm-hmm. For years, the debate waged back and forth about Varen being part of the Black Odds or not. And I love how well done Varen's story arc is laid out here. It just kept us guessing for so long.
Yeah. The did Varen lie thing. Yeah, absolutely. I love the line, quote, "A fine hero I make. I tried to rescue Egwene and Min did it for me. Fane said he would hurt Emond's Field if I didn't face him, and I never laid eyes on him." End quote. That's right, Rand. You made some mistakes too, so maybe you should dial it back a bit.
Yeah, and there's, nothing wrong with a girl being able to save the girl instead of you. Figure it out, dude.
Well, I don't think that's what he's saying, but I'm just like, you need to just back it up a peg, dude. Like,
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, he's definitely on a high horse. With everything that happens over the last couple chapters, I always forget about Fane threatening to do harm to the Two Rivers if Rand doesn't meet him.
Yeah, like I kind of forgot all about Fane. It's like he's been the big bad for this whole book, and he doesn't even show up at the climax.
Right? Like so
oh yeah,
Rand
I forgot about that guy.
Like he makes it to Toman Head. He finds the horn and the dagger. He beats Ishiman, and we see the Shanshan defeated by the heroes of the legend. Oops. These were all just side quests. And Rand was supposed to find and face Fane, which is basically the inciting incident for the Battle of the Two Rivers and Shadow Rising.
Right.
So it always impresses me how I always forget, oh yeah, we were supposed to do something with Fane.
Like, where was Fane during the last couple chapters?
I think we find out in the prologue of the next book.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, I have no idea where he even was. Because Huron was tracking him. They were trying to find Fane. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, don't know. So Moraine pulls out the drawing of Rand fighting in the sky and explains that the cat is out of the bag and there's no going back. Up until this point, Rand has been able to keep his secret and pretend that all of this isn't happening. But those days are over. Everyone saw him, and the story is spreading like wildfire. He has no choice but to confront the truth about who he is.
Yep.
Like it or not, he's the Dragon Reborn. And, I mean, of course he's scared because he's heard the stories. Mm-hmm. He was raised that the Dragon Reborn was like the boogeyman, an evil thing that destroyed the world. And he is afraid about breaking the world again, which is totally legitimate. But Moraine has a point when she tells him that the world's already breaking, you know?
Yeah.
Like, the world is already screwed, whether Rand declares himself or not.
Yeah. When Rand comes down from where he's sleeping and sees the dragon banner, then tells Perrin and Loyal that he's glad they chose to stay, Loyal says, "Why wouldn't I stay? You're even more Ta'veren than I believed. True, but you are still my friend. I hope you're my friend." He does not care that Rand is a man that can channel. He does not care that Rand is destined to possibly destroy the world. He's sticking with Rand because he is his friend, and in his mind, that's all that matters. Loyal is the best.
Loyal is the best. Like, he has the best reaction to this whole dragon thing.
Yep.
Everyone else freaks out, but Loyal's like, I'm good. I mean, things will be more interesting, but that's fine.
This is going down in my blog.
Exactly.
Or my book. Sorry.
It's totally going in my blog.
And the speech that Uno gives is really kind of cool. And he doesn't curse once.
Shocking.
Rand has shattered all things that bind. I'm sure Lord Elgamar is not going to be happy to lose so many men to someone who has just been declared the Dragon Reborn. But it does not matter. These men recognize a higher calling that the pattern has drawn them into and have accepted it. Except for Masema, who's a piece of crap. Because he is.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what the book says. Quote, "You battled the Dark One," Masema said. Masema, who hated him. Masema, who looked at him as if seeing a vision of the light. "I saw you, Lord Dragon. I saw. I am your man to the death." His dark eyes shone with fervor.
Jeez.
There was no way to predict what a shit show was going to spring from these few simple sentences.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Wow. Oh. That storyline.
I'm just dreading what happened. Yeah, it's not going to be fun with him.
I mean, we don't have to pick that up for another book or two.
2, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll ignore it till then.
Okay. Moving on. I love that we end with the Shannara phrase about death and duty. It's just a great capstone to the whole choice that Rand has to make here. Death is lighter than a feather, and duty heavier than a mountain. One thing Jordan does so well with each book is that the idea that the story of the event spread through the land and change as they spread. Things get bigger, battles more elaborate, and the story gets bigger and bigger as it goes further out. Mm-hmm. But there's always one kernel of truth that binds them all together. This resonates with me so much. Truth is very often hidden in the stories and half-truths that we are told. But real truth requires that you peel back layers, sometimes several layers, in order to get to the facts of the matter. Mm-hmm. And that's it for chapters 48, 49, and 50 of The Great Hunt. We're finished.
Yay!
So now, let's talk a little bit about the book in general and how the season went.
Okay.
Okay, so what were your favorite moments in The Great Hunt?
For me, definitely Nynaeve's accepted test. Like, I thought that was so well written.
Yeah.
And everything she goes through, like, it says so much about who she is and, you know, her personal emotional arc throughout the series. And I really, that was some good writing.
It's so heartbreaking, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I don't want to say I like it because it was so hard to read because it's so painful.
It really is.
But, it's such good writing. It's so compelling, you know? And then for me, everything involving Varen. I love Varen. Varen makes me happy. She makes me laugh. I love everything about Varen. And, like, any chapter that has more Varen, any book that has more Varen, I'm totally behind it.
Yeah, we make no attempt to hide how much we like Varen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, the whole Rand and Kyrian and the letters, and every time he's trying to be out of the game, he's just digging himself deeper and deeper. And it's farce done at its best.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
All right.
What about you?
Well, for me, I love it when Lan gives Rand that Manetheren pin at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And walks with him through the women's quarters to the Emerald's quarters, I guess you call it.
Yeah, to meet the Amerlin.
Yeah.
His little lion cub.
And Lan is just so awesome there. And he sets Rand up to stand on his feet as much as possible. And it's just a really great moment between them.
Yeah.
I also like Nynaeve and Egwene when they arrive at the docks of the White Tower.
When they see Tarvalon for the first time?
Yeah, it's this sense of wonder, like the size of the tower and the way they are. It's part of it is that it's the first time we see an Aes Sedai actually welcome them in with open arms. Like every other Aes Sedai they've encountered at that point has been like
Testing
studying them,
yeah.
like measuring them, like trying to figure out how they become a piece of the puzzle. And when Shireen meets him on the docks, it's just like, and welcome to your new home.
Yeah. I can definitely see that.
So I love that moment. And then the Rand and Loyal Mission Impossible style way that they take the horn from Thane. That whole thing with like Loyal sneaking about and Rand with the sword fight afterwards. And it's just that whole thing is
Ninja Rand.
really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I love how how scared Loyal is the whole time. He's like, "Can we please go back now?"
Rand,
Like,
now?
seriously.
Are you done yet? Because
Yes, Loyal is so good.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel the characters grow and change in The Great Hunt?
Nynaeve goes through a bit of a change.
Yeah.
She has to transition from the role of wisdom to the role of accepted. And there's a lot of interesting things she goes through with that. And it's just kind of, I found it fascinating to watch her make that change. So that's one change that does happen. The other big one that comes to my mind is Rand.
Yeah, Rand goes through a lot in this book.
But specifically the lordening of Rand. Like Rand is put in situations where people are looking to him, and he kind of, as best he can, he rises to the occasion.
Yeah.
He doesn't just kind of like shirk it away and like hide from it. He actually embraces it. So, well, he puts up with it, I guess, probably at this point, which is
He embraces it when it counts. Like, he doesn't like the bowing and the scraping, but he always steps in to protect,
yes,
like, Huron specifically. So, yeah, I see what you mean.
yeah, which is a very lordly thing to do. Putting Huron above him because Huron's relying on him. That's a pretty cool thing. So that's a bit of growth that we see happen with Rand. He's still in complete denial about who he is.
Yeah. Up until the bitter end.
Yeah. And one thing that we do see is Min. Min comes to a place where she reluctantly accepts her destiny to be with Rand. But it's
Yeah, she's been struggling with it through the whole book. So yeah, that makes sense.
so those are just three characters that I kind of saw grow.
Yeah, like for me, I think the girls learn to be not so naive and trusting.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they found out that Aes Sedai can betray them. And so from now on, they have to take everything with a grain of salt. And that's a really, really important lesson because especially Egwene and Elaine, they've been taking everything at face value from the Aes Sedai. Not Nynaeve so much because she has such a distrust for them and dislike for them. But I mean, Egwene is just, as soon as an Aes Sedai says anything, she jumps on it. So this was a really, really important lesson. And then, of course, with Egwene and her kidnapping and her torture by the Shanshan, I mean, she changes a lot. She exhibits very obvious signs of PTSD after this. And, it's what we were talking about, I want to say it was like 2 episodes ago or something, how she had to have her time with the Shanshan in order to learn
how far she can go before being broken.
Yeah, she learned how much she could take before it broke her.
Yeah.
Because she does break a little bit, definitely.
Oh, yeah, she does.
And that was an important thing to learn so that when she's with the wise ones, she could learn how to take it without breaking.
Yes.
So I think Egwene's journey in this book is one of the most important in the series. Or most important to the series, I should say. Like, obviously, Rand's journey in this book is the most important, but Egwene's, I think, is second as far as the overall impact it has for the rest of the series. Like, as much as I hate the Shanshan, like, her journey here was pretty impactful.
It was very pivotal. How do you feel the Great Hunt fits into the overall arc of this series?
Well, there's still a lot of setting up and world building. Like Jordan was still trying to hammer out his rules. I mean, there's a lot of really cool parts, but overall, it's not my favorite book. I mean, it's not the worst book in the series for sure, but I don't love The Great Hunt. I don't know. What do you think?
To be honest, it's not that crucial of a book.
Oh.
And I know that there's a lot of listeners out there who are probably clutching their pearls right now. And
they're getting on Twitter. They're getting on Twitter.
I'm going to tweet a storm up. I know you probably think I'm crazy. But here's what I mean. Imagine a world where we skip right from the Eye of the World and into the Dragon Reborn.
Okay.
No Fane stealing the horn. No portal world nonsense. The only things that we would be missing that are important to the overall arc are the Shanshan being turned back from Randland and Egwene's time spent as Domine. Here's the thing, though. We see a second wave of Shanshan come later. So driving them back didn't mean too much. And Egwene could have been captured and gone through a similar thing in that second wave. Also, if you're saying, yeah, but what about Ishi's big battle?
We'll see him again at the end of the next book.
We'll see him in the next book. Yes, he did not die. So I'm trying, when I try to put together things that unfolded in this book, they could have been incorporated in different ways into different elements of the story. Now, would that mean that we have the same Wheel of Time? Absolutely not. Because there's character development and everything that happens here. But from a standpoint of what is the overall impact of this book on the entire arc of the story?
Oh, you're right. Mind blown.
Now, I realize that a lot of people love The Great Hunt, and they love it because there are some really great moments in this book. And I'm not trying to take away from that at all. I'm just trying to say, ask me the question, I'm going to honestly answer. Does this really have a lot of impact on the overall arcing story? Yeah, but not necessarily. It didn't have to happen the way it did.
Right. Yeah, no, you're actually, I mean, you have a point.
So having said that, there's some really cool, great character moments in this book. Like, we learn about Loyal and the Ogre. We get to see Varen do all kinds of fun stuff. And the girls start to form friendships that will keep them together for the rest of the series. So there is a lot of world building here, but a lot of stuff that impacts the plot in a way that could have been covered elsewhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my 2 cents on that.
Wow. So what were your favorite moments of season 2 of the podcast?
Ooh, okay. So this season we got a new logo, which was fun and exciting. And
I learned how to do stuff.
Yeah, you put it together yourself, and I was really proud that hey, she made it happen. We talked about how we wanted it to look, and you made it happen. It was great. It's awesome. We passed 500 Twitter followers just a few weeks ago, actually.
Yay!
So yay, we did
Hi,
that.
guys.
Thank you so much for following us on Twitter. We really enjoy you guys. And in addition to that, another first that happened in this season, we hit more than 5,000 downloads in a month for the first time. So yay!
That's really cool.
Yeah, we had over 5,000 for the month of June. And as the resident analyst guy, I geek out over numbers. So yay, yay. But to be honest, one of the coolest things that happened this last season was just getting to interact with so many different kinds of Wheel of Time fans. We've gotten emails and tweets from farmers who listen to us while they're driving on their tractor, business people who travel long stretches for their work, and people who are digital marketing professionals. And we have an age spread. Like our listeners range from college students to people in their 60s. And it's just really cool to see how the Wheel of Time has resonated with so many different people.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's been fun to kind of just absorb and be part of.
Yeah, it's been really great to get your emails and see your tweets and interact with people. Like it's been really, really cool.
Yeah.
Tim is the social media guy. So he's usually the one you're interacting with, but he does share a lot of it with me. And so it's just been really neat to see feedback and to see that you guys are enjoying it. It's been really great.
Mm-hmm. So what were some of your favorite moments of season 2?
So I basically just focused on the ads. Some of my favorite ads. I really enjoyed Varen Sedai's Museum of Medical Oddities.
Yeah,
that one was
cool.
fun.
That was cool.
Also, Patton Fane's Theater of the Macabre, where 2 heads are better than 1.
That was great. Yeah. You had some zingers in there.
I did. I try. I really try. It's so hard to come up with these ads. I can't even tell you how hard it is to come up with a new one for every episode. But I did have a couple of fun ones. I also really loved Robert Jordan's School of Implausible Juggling. And the Ailman on the Rocks, a cocktail for the modern man. I made that drink up myself.
Well done. Well done.
I think those are my favorite moments. Where those were some of the better weeks when it came to the ads.
I enjoy them. Like every time you do the ads, I really enjoy them. What are you looking forward to in The Dragon Reborn?
Okay, let's see. The Dragon Reborn. Mostly, more than anything else, I'm looking forward to being in Perrin's head for most of the book.
Yeah.
It'll be really nice to have a break from Rand, you know?
Yes.
It'll also be nice to spend some more time with Lana Moraine since she's been gone for most of the Great Hunt, you know?
Yeah, she has. We've been with Varen instead, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Varen, but it'll be good to see Moraine again. And also, I cannot wait to meet Gaul. That scene, like that whole chapter, oh my gosh, I love it. I really, really like Gaul as a character. I love his friendship with Perrin. And I really enjoy that first interaction with the two of them. So it's good. Like, there are some really good moments in The Dragon Reborn. Like just fantastic moments that I can't wait to read. I like The Dragon Reborn a lot better than The Great Hunt.
Yeah.
It's not quite my favorite book, but it's close. Like, it's up there. it's a good book. I don't know. What are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to Matt in the Tower.
Oh my God, yes. We finally get rid of crappy Matt and get to awesome Matt.
Yes.
Which I've been counting down the days.
Like a healed Matt that doesn't suck is going to be so much fun.
Yes.
And he meets back up with Tom pretty much right away. So we get Matt and Tom shenanigans are also fun.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm really looking forward to isn't just point of views from Perrin, but just like his character journey and his stepping into the dream world, which becomes this is the first book where we're going to get the dream world really developed.
Did you know if you die in the dream world, you die in real life?
Is that how it works?
Which will be repeated to us, I think, in every other chapter.
I may have heard that somewhere. I may have gone 1 or 2 pages without reading it, possibly. But yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'm definitely looking forward to it. It'll be a good book. It'll be a good season.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are too out there, listeners, because it's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm. And I think that wraps us up. We hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Wheel of Time Pod-Thru. So we're going to be on hiatus until August 13th. So make sure that you follow or subscribe to us so that you don't miss the first episode of season 3, The Dragon Reborn. It's going to be a good season, guys.
It really is. So make sure that you rate and subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. If you could leave us a positive review, it would really help us out. It makes us more visible so people can find us. You can tweet us at Pod-Thru or email us at podthru@gmail.com. Tell us your thoughts on anything we talked about today or anything Wheel of Time related.
That's WOTPODTHRU@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody, and we hope the wheel weaves you in our direction again soon.